Okay, I have to say this in front of my videos, but if you are tuning in, I'm showing you how to work on vintage electronics. But just keep in mind that this is for entertainment purposes only, and do nothing that you are seeing on the screen, because I am an idiot when it comes to working on electronics. And if you do not feel comfortable working on electronics, then you should not do so. Don't work on this stuff unless you are properly trained and aware of basic safety and how to handle these things. There, I said the disclaimer. Anyway, what I want to do now is replace these two electrolytic capacitors, and I want to test fire this bad boy up and see what it does, if it does anything. I'm guessing that it probably will work because someone put a lot of effort in here replacing almost all these capacitors. Let's see, Sprague, 30 microfarads. The other one's probably like 25 or something. I'm just going to replace these with two 47 microfarad, 450 volt rated capacitors. A couple of Nishikans. Let's see, where did their negatives? Are they grounded or are they floating? I think they're probably. Looks like they're grounded. There's this huge resistor over here. Positive. One goes to it's going to one of the RF tubes, and then that's going to my field coil. Actually, there's a terminal strip right there. So I'll just use that right there. That'll be my two negatives. So let me just cut these guys out of here because they're just taking up too much room. Get these two positives. So get these out of here. Crap. It's hard to see in here. It's got a little bit of bubbling on the end there. That means it's probably gassed a little bit. That one's pretty bad. You see it's got a big bubble right here. The crack. Anyway, I wouldn't trust that, even though it is a Sprague. So twist some two negatives of my electrolytics together. So I'm going to try to get some serious camera equipment because right now everything I'm using is completely jerry-rigged and held together with electrical tape and whatever else. And it's a video conference camera, so it's not very good to begin with. Just realized, like, when I was a kid, I was all into whatever new electronics were coming out, but now I just remember when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'll always be on top of electronics, and now it's just like I can't. I don't know. It's like there's the iPhone 50. Same phone as the last one, but with just a few extra little things. Pretty remarkable what the phones will do, though. I have a newer-ish phone because my old one finally died, and the damn thing can take pictures in the dark, just about. Come on. Take my hat off. I keep hitting the damn camera with the brim of my hat. All right. It's too deep in here. I don't know if you hear that miserable little dog barking down the street. I have a large variety of animals that live in the neighborhood. Chickens, dogs, ducks. I swear, like the dumbest thing happened the other night. I was awoken. It was probably 3 o'clock in the morning. And it sounds like there's like someone yelling. Oh, man, there must be someone getting in a fight down there or something. I don't know what's going on. But what it was is like there was this dog that was barking. It's like woof, woof, woof. And then there was a guy who was yelling like, "Shut up!" All he was doing is he was just like encouraging the dog to keep on barking. And then like one of the other people down the street was like telling that guy to shut up. And I was like, this is just going to be a non-ending cycle, a doom cycle. So I tried to go back to sleep, and eventually I guess the guy either shut up or the dog shut up. I'm not sure what happened. That's what I get for living in a metropolitan area. There was certainly a lot of noise where I grew up, though. I grew up in the sticks. The noise that everyone made back where I grew up was like everyone had all manner of things that ran on engines, dirt bikes and whatnot. And I didn't think about how crazy, well, not really crazy. I didn't think about how not common this was, but I remember when I was a kid, like the neighbors would call and be, we're going to do target practice in the backyard, and they'd go blasting away, and everyone did it. And so as a kid, I just remember like constantly hearing like people shooting guns somewhere. And as a kid, I thought it was pretty obnoxious. Like I don't care if you own them, but I don't really care that much for guns myself. Especially when people decide to disturb the neighborhood and shooting them, you know. I had a crappy little BB gun as a kid. That's about as far as I got. Even though I did take target practice when I was in Boy Scouts, and I did really well with a little 22. That was the extent of my target practice days. I remember my dad had this giant muzzle loader. I don't know where he got it from, but it was like holding he let me, when I was 12 or something, obviously with his supervision close by, shoot it. And the back of the barrel, see, I don't even think about guns. I don't know anything about guns. The back of the stock like nailed me in the shoulder, and it had like a brass butt plate on the thing. So as a little kid, like with basically zero body fat, that hurt. And what was even more horrifying is what happened on the end. I remember my grandmother had her gallbladder removed, and I'd come home with a bunch of like hospital pans, like plastic pans and stuff, and we had taken a bunch of that out and put it kind of in the backyard. I remember when I pulled the trigger on that muzzle loader and it hit one of those bed pans, like it just disintegrated. And then we had a history lesson later about the Civil War and what kind of damage these things would do. Is like, yeah. I've done it. All the electrolytic capacitors are replaced. I was about to say yes, go ahead and fire it up, but we got this wire here that is. Look on the front and see if I can't remember those station pre-selects or if it's just will it work without it? Is there a manual mode? I think there is. Well, let me just pull this wire. I want to make sure there's nothing. Actually, what I'll do is push it through. I don't want anything metal. I'm live casting.
You are?
Yes.
Excited.
My wife is curiously inquiring about it. Well, let's see. Got distracted. Oh yeah, let me. What I want to do is nab the speaker out of the cabinet because it's going to be too freaking big to bring over here and plug in. Plus whatever crap just fell out of there. All right, you sit there for just a minute, and I'll go get the speaker out of the other cabinet. Oh. I think all they did was they just took a console chassis and they just stuck it in a super big tabletop because it looks exactly like one of the lower end Zenith consoles. Tell you one thing, I don't remember what these sound like, but it seems like a lot of the mid to late 30s Zeniths sound real good. At least they do to me. I kind of tend to like really bassy sounding radios, and some of the Zeniths, even the like 9 or 10 tube consoles with the 10-inch speaker, like they boom. People just be like amazed. They're like, that's a 80-something-year-old radio. It's like, yep. Like, did you replace the speaker? Nope. That is good old-fashioned 1930s engineering right there. I get that question a lot. A lot of people are just, like they just assume like, surely you replace the speakers, right? Because they just assume that there's no way that a speaker would survive, let alone sound halfway decent. There's one model that I've never worked on that I want to work. Oh, I take that back. I've worked on its cousin. I worked on I'm terrible with model numbers, but I worked on a 15-tube Zenith console years ago, and it had a massive speaker in it. I think it might have even been a 15-inch woofer, but I could be wrong. It seemed like it was an awfully big speaker. And you'd fire that thing up, and you have that much real estate on a speaker, it's just automatically going to have an enormous amount of bass. And then the cabinetry, of course, is kind of like a a musical instrument, the wood itself is what would also help resonate that sound. Okay, I've got 3 of the 4 nuts holding the speaker in off. And we're going to put them where I won't lose them, because I sure as hell don't want to lose them. The other good thing about this looking like it's been in a dry environment is hopefully the speaker isn't warped. Right, there's the speaker. I'm going to go put the nuts for it somewhere else before I lose them. At the same time, this cabinet can go back where it belongs. Let's see. Someone's taking the speaker off. It's got a little hair right here. Does it sound like it's rubbing? Pretty good shape. It's not any weird warping going on. Nothing's lifting up. I have to plug in the antenna. It's not going to work. Where'd it go? Massive antenna thingy. Ouch. What did I just sit on? That hurt. That's not so bad. I can just sit up here. Look at that. Can't tell if it's on or not. Okay, that's on. Pull out all the audio stops. Oh, I can't plug this in. There's no freaking cord on it. Oh man. See, this is why I get nervous about making these live episodes, because it's like then you see what really happens. Because I forget dumb crap. So I was so excited about trying this thing out. I forgot that from yesterday. I was missing the cord. Come on now, get out of here. Do not break the phenolic wafer. Why is it so stuck in there? All right. Easy enough, it's right there. Ouch. Camera. That across the line is not going to do it either. How many plugs in here? That's a better looking plug in my opinion. Hey everybody. How you doing, Gary? How's it up there in Vancouver? Is it freezing up there? I'm pretty ignorant about weather these days, but a lot of the people I work with are on the East Coast and it was freezing. I've never been to Canada. I'd love to go up there. My parents went years ago on a train trip. They said everybody was super nice. They had a lot of really good food. Saw a lot of beautiful things. Come on now. I'm going to replace that across the line cap. That thing's just getting in the way. If you've seen any American sets that have something like this in there, I'm gonna get it out of there. I'll show it to you. Don't trust it. I might say it's rated 1,000 volts or whatever, but it's A, old, B, possibly and probably made out of foil with a paper backing or paper impregnated. It's a paper cap versus a plastic cap. And if it shorts, well, if you get struck by lightning on that kind of capacitor, it might fuse together, which would cause a lot of problems. Solar 0.005 microfarads, 1,000 volts. I think it's tough. Let me put it on the ground. Yep, you see inside, and that's just foil with paper. So you should not trust that kind of cap going across a line like that at all. So I'm putting an X2. Can't remember if it's an X1 Y2. I think it's X1 Y2 across the line capacitor. Get a good quality. You know, if it's Vichy, Cornell, you know, any of the big names when it comes to the safety caps. You want to make sure they've been properly qualified as such. It's a kind of an important, critical capacitor. Okay, another thing I'm going to do is that this has a 6x5 rectifier. I'm going to put a fuse between the basically the plates of the 6X5. So if it shorts, it'll take the fuse out versus deciding to go about and take out the transmission, the transformer. Can't get over how clean the interior of this chassis is. Looks like it just rolled off the factory floor. All right, let me put the plug on, and we can fire it up for real. If you're my age, there was this voice actor who did all the movie. He did the voiceover for all the movie trailers. He sounded like that. Like, this Saturday, one of the best movies of the year. An action movie that the whole family can enjoy. I think he unfortunately passed away, but he was such an iconic voice of trailers in the 90s and 2000s. Sometimes I just lightly tin the edges of my leads, and it makes it easier for me to twist it around the lugs of the plug. I don't like having frayed looking wire on my plug terminals. It's just unprofessional looking. Now we're cooking. All right. Clear the deck. As I rudely knock the camera about. Sorry, this camera mount sucks. It's like I move it and then it bends back, no matter what I do. That's what I get for being such a cheap SOB. Turn the music down so I can hear A, if there's something sizzling away, like the transformer, I want to know about it. B, if it's going to make noise, I want to hear it. Okay. Plugging it into my Variac. I'm going to check for draw. Okay, good news is that the filament string's okay because I got pilot light edge here. Only at 30%. We bring it up to 50%. That's not going to do one single thing. Okay, filament. The rectifier got the filament. Yes, the rectifier has filament. I can't tell with this one. It's too dirty. That one has filament. They all seem to have filaments. Okay, 70%. I hear crackling.
Children and our 23rd grandchild. Compare that to a CBS. Poor position with such a great that the renewed investor interest is understandable. Issues that can really move at very high valuation. So, a target corporation that has had a ugly run going into the end of last year, but perhaps it looks like you're hanging around. It's pretty attractive at low valuations. That is true corporation. Psychiatrist live call to Chris from Atlanta. You got a question about portfolio management? How can we help you?
Hey, I was just asking, let's just started working on actually building a real portfolio.
Voters doing it by themselves, it was clearly a calculated. Es una comprensión muy interesante.
Sí, aparte más que experto, es profesor de la Universidad de Stanford en cuanto a derechos humanos. Es profesor de derechos internacionales también. En diferentes universidades lo hemos tenido a...
Well, everything's dirty. Tube contacts are dirty. The volume control is dirty. The tone control switches are dirty. The band switches are dirty. Everything's dirty. So that's what all that god awful crackling was. But the good news, actually, the transformer is probably under that cover. It's fine. It's totally fine. Gone blowy uppy, so that's a very positive sign. But I do want to clean up those contacts. Actually, while I'm at it, I'll be back in just a second. I want to get a rag so I can clean this up a little bit. It's not jack shit in this garage anymore. There we go. All right. It's pretty nice condition there. At least to paint anyway. I understand why more well, obviously I think I know why, probably because it cost money, but there were a few manufacturers that would put the tube type stamp into the tube socket. That's a very old rubber band. It's like you don't even need to guess. You can just like, oh yeah, well I can just easily. What's all that dancing around going on back here? Oh, it's hitting the tool. I'm just going to do it sitting on springs. And yeah, I know that no one's probably going to ever see the inside of this radio ever again, maybe, or maybe in the next number of eons. I'm not going to take that out. That grid cap is cracking loose, and I don't want to damage that. So you can just stay right there. I'll deal with him later. Oh, look at that! Even the top of the transformers are pristine. Yeah, I didn't think about how annoying that some of these noises must be on a live audience, because I can't help it. The radio's bouncing around. I'll probably find a glass replacement for that one. I just like the look of glass when that was probably what the set came with originally. Except I'm going to leave this one in there. These later 6X5s that have this staggered structure. The earlier ones that I've seen, I wish I had one sitting around. They're not staggered like this, and there's a problem where sometimes the filament just comes springing out of the top of it. I've never seen any other tube type do that. It does not get a very good reputation in the world of American radio collecting, because everyone knew it was a crap tube. Wound up costing Zenith an awful lot of money. I think they had to have a recall. Someone I think told me that, and I was like, for the 40s? A recall? Like, how bad did you mess up? Oh, it's got one of those stupid Locktool tubes. I can't stand Locktools. That's probably part of the noise right there. So what I do with these is that I get a knife, scrape all the pins. There's just less surface area on these Locktool tubes, so they have to be extra squeaky and clean. I think they were developed by the infamous Philco Radio Corporation. Spider probably got baked to death. What a horrible way to go. You don't have to do this. If you have an old radio that you're working on and you know for a fact that no one's ever going to see the inside of that again for decades, and you don't have to clean it up. You can just leave it like it is. Other than the electrical contacts, it'll work perfectly fine. But if you don't clean off the tubes, they'll stink. They'll stink like something's burning until that dust burns off. They get hot too. Be careful when you're working on this stuff if you're not familiar with tube electronics. Some of these rectifier and output tubes, they can... I remember one day I was working on something. I can't remember what it was, and I leaned over and didn't really think about it. I thought I'd been burned. Not burned, but stung, because it's kind of what it felt like. And then turned out I'd rested my elbow, or not my elbow, but my forearm at one of the tubes on the set that I was working on. It burned me. Like not just a little bit, but real bad. I had this perfectly circular burn on the end of my arm for a while, and people would be like, "What happened?" And since this is such a weird, obscure hobby that only weird electronic nerds like me are into, I didn't want to say I burned it on a vacuum tube because no one knows what that is anymore. I just said, "Oh, I burned myself on the stove." Like, "Oh yeah, well, that's too bad." Just a little bit back here. Now, who wouldn't want that beautiful gold chassis sitting in their radio? Just looks better. I like the way I like working on clean stuff, and also knowing that when it's back together, that it's clean inside and out. That's going to be put back to work. All right, let's clean up these tuning and band switches here. The volume control is going to be a whole different thing. Usually sometimes on these you just pull back this little cover and there's a brad, not a brad, but that'll get the juice into your wiper for the volume control. Okay, well, now that we have, oh yeah, I need to clean the tone control switches. See if we can find the knob. It'd be easier for me to control that volume. Oh, come on. This knob looks terrible. All right, let's probably blow out this tuning condenser too while I'm in here. on, turn on. Now, let me get... I'm trying to adjust my camera again. What I need to do is I need to find an AI startup, and what it does is it makes hovering cameras that come on your every command. So camera, please aim there. Okay. Here we go, round 2. All right.
Chips to their all-new maple bourbon bacon, which brings out the subtle notes of maple and bourbon for a rich taste. Heartland Steakco has your bacon and USDA Midwestern beef ready to ship and delivered straight to your door. Don't wait. Today for yourself. Loves that true Midwest taste. Ordering is easy at heartlandsteakco.com. And right now, when you spend $199.99,
Kevin Howell. Barber. He's the first African American at the college football game. Gets cheered. Most politicians really are.
Now he says they have more funding, staff, and a lot of data to know exactly.
in a league that's just itching to bury quarterbacks. One guy having fun. It's good for the league. The Patriots run games. Again, Rick Stevenson. They combined for 19 total TDs. But good luck telling me which one had more.
I think this tube socket. I forgot to clean this one. Seems like that's not a very good connection right there. And again, not necessary, but I'm going to come in here and clean this shit out of here. I need to stop cursing. Crap. Sorry, guys. I told myself like yesterday, I was like, I can't be rude and nasty on these things. That's why I put, this is not made for kids. Because of my inability to control my mouth. Now there's also a bunch of capacitors still stuck in this thing, and it could be a few of them are shorting away.
That familiar criticism Brock Purdy always gets, but in the
ratings and Lyft says PIN authentication will be a default measure, ensuring the user gets in the right car. Riders will also be automatically prompted to begin audio recording. Parents will be able to track their teen's trips in real time and even communicate directly with the driver. Lyft Teen is set to be ready.
Yeah, he's not going to answer. One more time. You're a capitalist, correct? Bay Area. East side to the coast. Your money on the Black Information Network.
It's officially tax season. If you're counting on a tax refund this year, here's how to get your money faster. Refunds are expected to be bigger than usual, and for millions of Americans, that
He confessed to the crime.
Promotions spiral. So how do we maintain a proper Christ-like attitude? The answer comes Wednesday.
ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਆਦੀਵਾਸੀ ਲੱਗੀ ਉਹ ਕਿ ਮਿੱਠਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਮਿੱਠੀ ਖੱਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਵਰਤਦੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਲਿਆਉਂਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਦੇ ਕੋਵਰਕਰ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਸ਼ੂਗਰ ਤੋਂ ਖਾਧੀ ਸੀ
Oh, this touches what you curate and how you encourage people to read something that's so edifying for their mind and soul and body. I think it's
Córtate si te tocas 9 y contestas correctamente aquí por la de láser y además sabes la canción, pues te llevas el par de boletos para el peso pluma. Hay que estar a la pendientona aquí en Porra de Láser. Mientras tanto, venga de lo nuevo, la música de la banda El Recodo. ¡Iu! Sí.
All right. Well, it seems to me that it is on its way to being happy radio. It's kind of a relief sometimes when it's like, well, this better work. I just spent one whole evening recapping it for nothing. Either that or it means you need to dig into schematics and spend hours and hours looking at it and thinking that you're a failure at life. But if you can't figure out an 80-year-old radio, then you must be no good to anything. Yes, I sometimes get overly dramatic. So now that we know that the radio is happy and that it seems like the tuning cord has no problems whatsoever, it's time to replace a few more capacitors. And what time is it? Oh, we've got maybe about 10 more minutes. Then I'm going to probably sign off. Thank you all for bearing with me as I try to figure out a format that I'm not familiar with. I don't know. I just got kind of bored of making the regular videos because they're like, here I'm going to recap the radio again. And everyone probably knew exactly what was going to happen next. They quit humming. I don't trust this either. It says buffer cap, even though it says rated for 1200 volts. Maybe that was true in 1950 or whatever, 60, when this thing was last worked on. But not now. I can tell this thing's going to be a boomer. That speaker definitely moving a lot of air. And the thing is, you can't really tell how it's going to sound until you put it back in the cabinet, because the cabinet is what, makes it boomy. I wonder actually how many more caps do I have to replace in this thing. Well, the thing is it's not going to be caps replacing. It's going to be a thing. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to spend the entire time. I got to replace the umbilical cord for the tuning eye. It's rotten. I quit hitting the camera. There's quite a few more that I need to replace. I'll do is switch gears just a little bit because it's kind of boring watching me replace capacitors. Let's bring the cabinet over here. This stupid thing just wants to go down. I just realized the cabinet I want. Crap, the cabinet's got the guts in it. The other guts. Well, I'm looking, it's been about an hour. That's about how I probably intend to run these. But anyway, in the meantime, thanks so much for watching. And my battery's about to run out of power. So I guess I better call it a day. Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching, and maybe we'll do it tomorrow. All right, thanks all.